All right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Good Life Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Blakely, and I am honored to be joined today by Janell and Ehrke and Tiffany Stoiber, who both of them are part of GROW Nebraska. And so, welcome, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So let's get started. Let's get to know you two a little bit better. What books are you reading or listening to right now?
Well, Brian, right now I'm a big fan of James Clifton, Gallup. You know, started in Nebraska.
Yeah.
I mean, has just done some phenomenal things. And I am sorry to say I can't remember the title, but I think it's Build Greatness. I'm sorry, Mr. Clifton, that's not the title of the book, but it is awesome. And the other book that I read on a daily basis is the Devotion, a Bible.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I just think you have to put yourself in the right state of mind, and you know, I spend a lot of time each and every morning just trying to make sure that I'm, you know, going to be in the best place I can be, so that I can be good to my team and as well as any businesses or just anyone that I encounter on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Awesome. Very good. We'll put the book in the show notes.
Okay.
I'll let you.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Tiffany, how about you?
I'm in the middle of reading The Sanatorium, which is a book that was Reese's book club pick, I think a couple months ago.
Okay.
Started it mid that month, and now it's taken me a while to get through it just because I'm pretty busy, but
Sure.
real good. I like reading fiction and murder mysteries, so
Got it.
it's a fun book so far.
And you two like to read as opposed to listen?
Actually, I really like both, to be
Yeah.
honest. You know, because you put your headset in, and you know, and just, you know, when you're walking, or you know, because I'm addicted multitasker, which I think is good and bad. You know,
Yeah.
because then you're not focused on what you need to be. So, yeah, I think the greatest thing that ever was created were those little ear pods.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. How about you, Tiffany?
I don't spend enough time in the car anymore. When I
Yeah.
used to live in a big city, I would, put in podcasts or an audiobook and use
Sure.
that during my commute, but now it takes me like 5 minutes to get here, and
Sure.
so I feel like that's not a big enough chunk of time to really absorb a book, but yeah, it's a good medium.
Yeah. Very cool. How about podcasts? Any podcasts that either one of you are listening to right now?
Well, I'm actually kind of addicted to all, you know, with the pandemic, we are just, everything is available through webinars. And,
Sure.
you know, and so I do a lot of, I think with Google has some series that I try to pick up,
Okay.
so I can share with the team, since I think it's really important. I also am addicted to some quick morning emails. I do the morning brew, which
Okay.
kind of gives me a market update, but then gives me sort of a, you know, just other general marketing trends. And
I've
they
heard of that one.
Yeah, and they have a retail brew. I love it. And then the other one that I think is humorous, which I think you would really love, is Seth Godwin.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
He does a
Yep.
quick, you know, morning, you know, so that's how I guess get, you know, but, and I'm going to be also very honest, I'm also webinar zoomed out, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad that, I love, Brian, that we're able to do this, because we can reach so many people in so many different ways. But I'm really glad that we're starting to get back to being more face-to-face and
Yeah.
networking, and be able to look people in the white of their eyes. I
Yeah.
think that's important.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Tiffany, how about you?
Well, you had this super educated answer, but mostly I just listen to like comedy podcasts.
Yeah.
So, stuff like My Brother and Me, You Can Sit With Us, which is run by a bunch of wives of some famous YouTubers.
Sure.
Dear Hank and John with John Green and Hank Green,
Yeah.
who are both authors now. But I like it as just a fun thing to turn on in the car, just to get a little dose of something.
Sometimes you need a
fun.
break.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I listen to like if it's been a long day and I'll listen to like a Huskers podcast where they're talking
Sure.
about the football team or volleyball or whatever or something like that, where you just need a break.
Well, what about those Husker baseball guys?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're getting it done this year.
Absolutely.
I was listening to that this morning on the way in. So I
Yeah.
love baseball, so it was exciting that they're
Yeah.
having some success.
Absolutely. And it's great that people can get out to the ballpark and watch and all that good
Mhm.
stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right, so let's get into it. So before we hit record, and I think I even admitted to you when we talked on the phone earlier that GROW Nebraska is much more than I knew that it was. And I was pretty naive to the fact of all of the things that you guys did. There's the store here in Kearney. It used to be up at the mall, and so I knew it because of that, but there's so much more. And so we'll get into that, but just kind of share your story, how GROW Nebraska came to be, and kind of your journey with that.
Well, thank you. So basically, GROW Nebraska, conceptually, I was on an airplane in 1995 and read an article in the In-Flight magazine about two programs. One is Kentucky Craft Marketing, and the other was Handmade in America. And at that point, I was helping a foundation that had taken over a former school, Hobart Public Schools, and they wanted to turn it into a business incubator. Well, it was struggling, and so the one thing that we had a lot of were craft-related people, and it just seemed like they were all just selling to each other, you know.
Sure.
And so I was able to pitch to my local board at that point, why don't we start a program that can help these people that, and I had lived in Kansas City, and all my friends, we were all really good consumers. We'd just go in and buy, but when I would go to an art fair or craft, event in rural Nebraska, everybody walked by and like, oh, I can make that. I'm like, oh yeah, right. But anyway, I thought these people really need help, getting to be able to market and connect to a greater audience, since Nebraska is a conservative and small state.
Sure.
So we did a business plan through USDA Rural Development, got a grant to really take that to another level, and then we actually launched the program in 1998.
Okay. Very good.
And we used the stores, which you mentioned, was part of my marketing strategy, because how do you get people to know about you? And
Sure.
so the malls at that point were pretty bustling, and the malls really bought into the concept. I have to say, I was so blessed to work with some really good mall property people that gave us some real breaks because they liked what we were doing, and
Sure.
it was really beneficial. But then the thrust of the foundation is obviously we're education. We want to teach people how to fish.
Sure.
How can you market it so that your audience is more than within a 75-mile radius?
Got it. So you basically use the storefront as a way to get people, well, obviously you give people an opportunity to sell a product, and give them a storefront, but it also allows people to come in and take a look at that stuff, but you can educate those business owners from there.
Absolutely. It just marked a lot of boxes. One, we were able to work with the businesses, they understand retail wholesale. Two, we could have retail stores come in and we had stats or we had numbers on it. This is a really good product that sells.
Sure.
If it didn't sell, then we knew we needed to work with that business how to go back to the drawing board. And then we opened it up. Originally GROW Nebraska stood for, back in the day, I don't want to age myself, but GROW stood for Grassroots Resources and Opportunities for Women, okay? Because that, so you couldn't just say GROW. They're like, what did GROW stand for? But,
right.
So then I'm like, well, there were men that were entrepreneurs. What a concept, right? So then we went to Grassroots Resources and Opportunities for Winners. Well, then I thought, this is crazy. Let's just go with GROW, and thus, But then, Brian, what it opened up is we now were corralling all these entrepreneurs, because when I started the program, I called the Department of Economic Development. I said, how many people do we have in cottage businesses that are making products and that are, either doing it as part-time or making a living?
Sure.
We had J&J Wire and Beatrice, and it started in a garage and now has a very large facility in the industrial park in Beatrice, to Dorothy Lynch, and we can go on and on. They're like, we don't have that staff.
Yeah.
So we sort of corralled these cats, and then it opened up. Okay, so we need insurance and we need attorney, what I'm saying? And so that's why we just wanted to open up GROW Nebraska for any business in Nebraska that wants additional promotion and awareness.
Sure.
Our existing board, our new statewide board, has given us the marching orders that they want GROW Nebraska to be like a Nebraska Amazon. So if you want to know about a product or service, you're going to go to either buynebraska.com or GROW Nebraska.
Okay. Got it. So talk about who you were working with in the early days, back in 98, 99, early 2000s. Were you primarily working with someone who was, creating a product and it was a part-time deal for them, where they were just kind of doing it for maybe to earn a little extra money, or was it someone who had, they'd sold out and they were doing this full-time and just needed some help? A little bit of both?
Yeah, interestingly, it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And some of our original lines, like Bert Anderson's here today in the store.
Okay.
He actually has a showroom in Atlanta. Heartland Gourmet, she's got a warehouse in Lincoln, has an organic, gluten-free line. Those are some of my Ely asparagus. Those were some of my original people,
Sure.
That have stayed. Because one of the questions, so it's a real mix. We have people that, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I want to add some, income for our livelihood, and or I'm retired. I want to do this part-time, or I'm, Jayhawk Boxes in Fremont, and I have 200 plus employees.
Right. Yeah.
So it's and the other question I get a lot, which is interesting to me, is, Janell, do we ever outgrow GROW Nebraska? Possibly. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I feel that it's one of the most effective advertising tools that you can utilize for your money, and to be part of something, where you get a continued need and market. We tried to create the program, so no, you should never outgrow it. But,
Sure.
that's going to be Tiffany's job as business development to make sure that continues. But so far, so good.
Got it. All right. So, as a small business owner, what do you, when you start to work with someone, what are some of the struggles that you see? Is it people need to figure out kind of what their price point is?
Mm-hmm.
Is it marketing?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, developing their product? Just kind of go, because I think, small business owners have this great idea of what they can do, and they're really good at maybe their trade.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked on past episodes before about there's so much more that goes into it,
Mm-hmm.
Marketing and the financial side of it and all that stuff. Just talk about some of the things that you help with on the education side.
Absolutely, great question. So one of the things when a business first inquires about GROW Nebraska, we always like to have what we call basically just a get to know you call, Brian, because we want to figure out, are we a good fit? Are they too early in the process? Janell, have an idea. And Nebraska is really blessed. We have some phenomenal resources. We have Nebraska Business Development Center. We have REAP. We have Nebraska Enterprise Fund. If they need micro loans, these are all programs that are SBA funded, that technical. And so we want to make sure SCORE for SBA, they can get a mentor.
Okay.
We're going to sit down and so they tell us what their needs are. Is it marketing? I have a business Facebook. I'm not getting synergy. Okay, so once we get them on board and they've gone through their onboarding process with our membership coordinator, then we may have them go to Tiffany to talk about, okay, how do I get greater reach or ROI in my social media?
Okay.
So I don't believe there's a cookie cutter approach to this, so we really feel like at the beginning, it's critical we find out what they need, and then we can try to create what we feel is a good menu of services or connection to programs that we truly at the end of the day will help them. And that has really paid off. We have an 86% renewal rate. Because the other thing we want to make sure is, are we providing ROI? My late father, when I started this, he's was a cattle guy, and he's like, Janell, whatever you do, I want you to create something that people get benefit for.
Sure.
Because you're still using my last name and people will call me. So anyway, so it's really important, now they can, which, but at the end of the day, he's like, you have to provide ROI.
Sure.
Because if you're going to do this, let's do it for the long haul. So we took a lot of pride in that whole piece. And so we're busy, aren't we, Tiffany? There's never, I don't have anything to do today, Janell. Because of all of the things that we're trying to provide, UPC, so we can launch them on Amazon, or is it, like Corey's business, Janell, I want to be able to develop more clients and help them with bookkeeping. So if they're telling us it's QuickBooks, then we want to send, and we have some CPAs that are members, too.
Sure.
So again, just trying to connect people so they can build a strong team, and most importantly, make a sustainable living.
Sure.
And then we spend a lot of time, if they're not having sales, why? is that?
Mhm.
You know, is it because of the look of the product, or is it just not, you know, something that's sellable? Sometimes it's a win, Brian, if we work with a business and they're trying to create a product, and before they invest thousands and thousands of dollars in it, if we're able to stop them and say, you know, this might just be something you want to do as a hobby, okay?
Yeah.
And then, you know, let's take a look at your business plan. The other thing that we're really stressing with these businesses, you've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Take time. There's lots of people that will help you. We don't do any business assistance. We're all marketing, you know.
Okay.
And our board is very adamant that we are not going to duplicate services. They're like, we are the only program solely focused on marketing.
Okay.
You know, launching and market access.
Got it. So, Tiffany, you can talk about the marketing side a little bit. When you're working with clients, especially like on the social media side of it, give a little bit of advice as far as, I know as a small business owner, when you're doing social media, it's one more thing that you put on your plate. And it's something that if you don't necessarily see a return in a week or 2 weeks, it's easy to kind of push that off to the side to maybe do something that's going to produce some income, or you know, that maybe you feel is going to be a little bit more fruitful. But just talk about, you know, for a small business owner, just how important and kind of some tactics that maybe they can use on the marketing side.
Yeah, the most important thing with social media is just to have it and use it consistently.
Yeah.
It can be, like you said, really discouraging sometimes if you put out one post a week and then you aren't seeing a lot of engagement with that, and so you think, oh, I'm just going to throw in the towel, why should I do this anyway? But the point of social media marketing is to establish that connection with your customers.
Sure.
During that time that they're not always going to be in your store.
Right.
And that's a great benefit because, you know, unless you're a grocery store, the likelihood
Sure.
that somebody is coming into your physical store or actually talking to you every week
Right.
is pretty slim. But with social media, you can be in their news feed all the time,
Sure.
and you can be on their minds all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's a really great benefit. And so the biggest thing that I tell people is that if you are doing social media, make sure that you're on those platforms that your customers are going to be on.
Okay.
So depending on your clientele, you might want to just be on Facebook. If you want to reach maybe some more younger clients, consider going on Instagram. If you have a business that is going to thrive really well on Twitter, make sure that you're using those platforms
Sure.
where your customers are, because that's what it's about. It's about reaching those customers where they're at, not making them adapt to just the social media platform that you want to use.
Sure.
And then from that point, just be really analytical and take stock of, okay, I've done a lot of posts like this and nobody really engages with them, versus this one time I just asked people, how's the weather where you are? And wow, I got tons of responses.
Sure.
And so, and you think, well, that's not me promoting my products necessarily or selling myself, but that's also not what social media needs to be for all
Right.
the time. And you should really shy away from just saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff,
Yeah.
and work on building those customer relationships, because people are going to be more willing to make a purchase from someone that they feel like they have a personal connection with.
Yeah.
And social media is a great place to build that personal connection.
That's a great point. I saw somewhere where it said your customer's not always ready to buy, but social media is there so that you need to be on social media so when they are ready to buy, you're the first person they think of. So,
Exactly.
So what are some of the things from a marketing standpoint as part of GROW Nebraska that you help small business owners with?
Yeah, so I am totally open to doing just a one-on-one training session. I did one a few weeks ago with Sandhills Natural Water, and she was just trying to say, I want to use this more, but I'm not sure if what I'm doing is right.
Sure.
And kind of the advice that I gave her is, well, the best thing that you can do is try things that you think might be right, and then step back and say, okay, was that actually successful? Am
Sure.
I getting ROI on that type of content?
Got it.
And so, love doing those one-on-one sessions with people. We also host a wide variety of different free training webinars. We do 2 a month on Thursdays.
Okay.
And those span all sorts of topics, but a lot of them do focus on marketing, building a marketing plan, social media photography, but then we also have sessions on bookkeeping, keeping your balance sheet, or using notes on financing your business. So we really want to meet people wherever they are in the process, even if they are in that still building a business plan step, because then, again, we're on their minds. If they know that they attended a webinar hosted by us on building a business plan, then when they have established their business, maybe they will want to come back to us for more resources. Janell says all the time, to know us is to love us.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can get people to know us, the more that people are going to be likely to return and interact with us even more.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of what we do. We also, on our social media platforms, try to give our businesses that we work with extra synergy.
Sure.
So if we see something that they've shared that's a giveaway post, we'll share it on our Facebook page too, to give them some extra reach with that. We also, any of the products here on our store, as a bundled member, part of that benefit is getting social media promotion specifically for their products.
Got it.
We'll promote any of our members,
Sure,
but we really focus on doing targeted social media campaigns for specific products.
Okay.
So we've got stuff that we're pushing out all the time, like Dorothy Lynch. We've got, a different jelly of the month that we will feature and, give a special deal on. So, just trying to provide those benefits for people as well, so that they can take advantage of our larger social platform, especially if they're just starting out with a smaller social media sphere.
That's awesome. So I'm from a small town here in Nebraska, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like, especially someone that's trying to grow a business in small town Nebraska, it can be lonely, maybe is a good way to put it, simply because in a small town you may not have the network, you may not have resources, you may not have friends who kind of share your same passion or whatever it may be. And is that a place where you guys come in? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that would be, for someone in small town Nebraska that's kind of trying to start their own thing and run it and be a business owner, it could be tough for them.
Absolutely, and Brian, probably close to 65% of our membership is in rural Nebraska. We are statewide, but Omaha has a phenomenal chamber. So does Lincoln, Grand Island,
Sure.
Kearney. So they do have access to a lot of services. Like you said, they're not as isolated. One of the things that the team does a really good job with, as I tell them, is we go into a community, we want to make sure that we leave it better than what it was. And there's no, silver bullet. And so we are working with a lot of smaller chambers. And so we want to be able to empower them, because we feel that, marketing starts, when I first started the program, I had a different look. I was like, going to take everybody to the New York gift show. And, we had a showroom in Kansas City, and we went to Dallas Gift Mart. And then I was like, what, we need to start local here, because it's really sad. You go into some communities and like, oh, I, didn't know that, this was made here. And you're like, oh,
Right.
So we really, because we feel like if we help the chambers, then it becomes a synergy. Because the other thing in our philosophy is Google likes all these little web connections. And so if you are a member of your chamber, that's a connection. Hopefully your website's linked to it. And then if you're a member of GROW Nebraska, that's another link to it. And then if you are added to, if it's an ag product, to the Department of Ag sites, or
Okay.
what I'm saying, we really want to make sure they understand it's a holistic approach.
Yep.
And what happens, which is so exciting by having that viewpoint, one of the things that I'm always amazed, how they throw the pebble and the little ripple effect. But what is so exciting, what's happening is we're creating little entrepreneurial hotspots. Where say so, and as I tell communities, even small communities, you get one really smoking entrepreneur to start going. And a prime example is Hastings, Nebraska. So we have the pleasure to work with Andrew Vargas, who started Pacha Soap, and he was a junior at Hastings College.
Okay.
And, he still kind of giggles when I tell the story, but I remember him calling me, and he's like, I'm, junior at Hastings College, and I want to start a soap company. And I was thinking to myself, okay, so my nieces go there. That's a wonderful college. It's, obviously it's a private institution, and bless your parents that they're letting you, kind of. And at that point, Nebraska's a really clean state. We were working with about 14 soap companies. And I'm like, okay, so I said, Andrew, I think it's great, but what's going to make you stand out? He already had that social venture model figured out. He knew what he was doing. And then he was dating his now wife, and she was into paper making, so she made his label. So we market tested him, up at the Hilltop Mall store, and today, he employs 51 people,
Wow.
Innovative Project of the Year, All Whole Foods in 2017. But what's so interesting about that, Brian, is Hastings would always call me and they're like, oh, Janell, we'd love you to put a store downtown. Well, downtown Hastings used to be not so interesting. It was like a lot of, urban sprawl. The downtown had kind of just, had a lot of empty storefronts. Well, now, Pacha Soap moved downtown, and obviously that wonderful little bakery had been there. But you go downtown Hastings, there's breweries, there's boutiques. I mean, it's, and obviously it's a lot of work. I mean, the Hastings Economic Accountant Department, corporation's done a great job. They have, living down there. So, I mean, it's totally definitely a group effort. But years ago, someone told me when I was in Austin, he's like, they're using artisans or entrepreneurs to be community builders. And it makes sense because, Andrew Vargas isn't going to leave Hastings.
Right.
I mean, he'll employ people now, globally. And he does mission work and he helps people build water wells in third world countries. But he's not going to leave. His core business will always be in Hastings, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And that's like the Valmonts, the Ranky Pittits. Those are the businesses, Chief Industries, that we're all started here. And now, one of the greatest quotes I share with the team all the time, every big business started small.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of a long answer to a quick question, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think it's totally true that, people that are from a community, if they can, establish a business and get it up and running, and with the community support, it's reciprocal because, we've had people on the podcast before that they grew up in this community and, they did youth sports and all that stuff, and they had businesses on the back of their shirts. And for them to be able to own their own business now and support those same youth groups, for them, it's just giving back to the community. They're giving back to a community that was there for them when they were little. And to them, that is, it's huge. And it's, part of their passion and part of their reason why they have their small business. So I think another part of that too, maybe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you've got, small business owners in small towns that may be a little bit isolated, you probably give them an opportunity where, hey, you should talk to this person in this town that's whatever, 100 miles away. And then that way you two can get on the phone and you can talk a little bit about your experiences, your stories, share ideas, things like that. Someone that they may have never known about, where you can connect people to just give them someone to bounce ideas off of and I guess build that energy to their small business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is awesome. It's just I think it's great the networking and the camaraderie that you can build from being a small business owner. I've said it before that it's you never know what it's like until you do it, and to be able to share that experience with someone and talk with someone who's going through that same deal or that same experience really is huge. So it's great to be able to have that. So what is one thing, I guess, through your whole experience with this, with GROW Experience, is there anything that you would do different? Is there anything that you would change through this journey?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's walking the walk, and I really wish, even though we did a great business plan, we had a lot of assistance, I wish we would have, I have a board now that holds our feet to the fire. We do a strategic, plan and goal forecasting. And even though I come from a family of, feedlots, and it's all about margins, and volume of sales. Yeah. At the end of the day, I just wish that would have maybe been hounded into us, or I would have I wish that. I feel like we're in a really good place now. We try to really lead by we go through our AR every week, and because GROW Nebraska is no different than a small business. When we created this, the local board was like, Janelle, we're going to create a program that we don't want it to be, and the former president of the board, his name is John Kohler, a very interesting man, built a very successful telecommunications in rural Nebraska, said, Janelle, we're not going to build a dinosaur where you're going to sit behind a desk and just live off grants. You're going to create something that's sort of a hybrid, which we were, and we've always been. And there was a lot of resistance because, I'd stand up and say, I'm going to, GROW Nebraska, we're creating a program that's not going to be dependent totally on grants. Now, we do get some grant money competitively. We don't have any consistent state funding, and we're dependent on grants. My auditors are here now, probably 40%. We do some fundraising from individuals, but we wanted to create what was called enterprise income. And I'm telling you, people were passing out when I was saying that. We all should be able to create enterprise income. Yeah. What? How do we create enterprise income? We can't charge people for services. Why not? I mean, the whole co-op model is, if we can charge for services under the market level, let them realize that they need help with these services, then we can kick them out to the private sector, and they can pay market value for it because they've been successful.
Yeah.
Right? And so the biggest thing I wish we would have done more is really, because that's not my greatest thing. So it was two things. One, I would have had a stronger bookkeeper with me the whole time. And two, I wish I'd had a stronger writer with me the whole time. i.e., I'm a great talking head, but and everything now is through, through emails, and so the team always giggles, because every time I write an email, I have it read it back to me, and so they're like, oh, Janelle, put your headphones on. Oh, okay, sorry, but those are the things, that and I think just that whole thing of, Janelle, maybe you should have, done the Franklin T. What are your true strengths, and what are your, things you aren't so strong about, and those are areas that we need to fulfill, because it's easy to hire a lot of people, Brian, like you, because you like them. I mean, I like people that are like me, because we just, but at the end of the day, we're spinning because we all want to do the same thing.
Sure.
So I really feel that the board has been really good in assessing, okay, Janelle, we need to find people that aren't like you, so that way you have more of a holistic team. And so those are just some growing pains, I think, that every business. And so when I have the opportunity to work with any of our members, I really stress that now. Know your numbers, and don't get a commitment. It's hard. A lot of these things, these are products that they love, and they've got their sweat, and they've created it. If it's not selling, it's time to retire it. Look at the Disney model. Put it in the vault. Maybe there'll be time to come back. Yep. But just watching their numbers, and we do a lot of that now. I mean, our Clarissa, who's actually our product marketing manager, I think she leaves every day with a huge, her head smoking, because she's doing a lot of, cost analysis with these members. Are you making money? And they have them understand, at the end of the day, GROW Nebraska has to make money too, so that we can keep these lights on and keep, the Amazon and eBay and Google Shopping and Facebook storefront moving forward for you. Yeah. So yeah.
It's about making money. And I think that sometimes, especially a small business owner that's maybe doing it part-time, there's a part of them that feels bad about pricing their product to where they feel like maybe they wouldn't spend that much on the product.
It's a problem, and we're conservative, and so we spend a lot of time telling them, we're going to price this because we're hoping we're going to sell this to people in Utah or California, and we want you to be able to make money.
Sure. Yeah. Kind of have to push people over the edge and say, this is what we're going to do. And
we do.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I said, we're going to sell this for more money than what you can still sell it. I don't care. It's going to be higher here. But people know our service. I mean, every time they get something from us, it's got shred, it's got tissue. She does some great graphic. It comes in a beautiful little box. I mean, we want to make it very aesthetically pleasing. Plus, we have the largest collection of Nebraska-made products. So we're not going to be cheap, because these are great products. But yeah, people struggle with that. Oh, I would never pay that. Well, you know what? But somebody will, because they don't know how to sew, or they don't know how to make jelly anymore, or whatever.
Right. Or they, from a time standpoint, it's just easier for them to, and I think that's, small business owners think about, they market the way they buy stuff, or they, whatever it is. That's just an example, but you kind of get into your own deal where, for instance, in my business, I would never open a piece of direct mail that was, to me. But direct mail works, and it has worked for a number of years. Email campaigns work. There's a lot of things that maybe wouldn't necessarily attract me, but they work. And so it's nice to have an outside source that can say, look, this works. Here's how we're going to do it for you. And Tiffany, talk a little bit about, from a marketing standpoint, talk about what you do. You've talked about social media, but website design, is there, marketing campaigns? Just kind of go over some of the things that you help small business owners with.
Yeah, so particularly right now in the 2020-21 pandemic era,
Yep.
A lot of what we try to help people with is digital marketing.
Okay.
And so yes, that means social media, but it means way more than that. It is email marketing. And that's another service that we offer our bundled members is
Okay.
the ability to be pushed out in an email that has aesthetically pleasing graphic design that a lot of these business owners don't necessarily feel like is in their wheelhouse, and we see those driving sales, which is great, and
Yeah.
that gets them excited too.
Yeah.
Another big thing that we do with businesses is working with them on their Google Maps and their SEO.
Okay.
So, and that's not necessarily something I do. That's a lot of training that our member services coordinator, Amanda, does with all of our business owners. So what that is establishing a presence so that when I am in an unfamiliar city, for example, and I Google Italian restaurant because I want Italian food,
Yep.
Google Maps works with that, works with my location, and gives me suggestions based on their algorithms.
Sure.
And so you want to make sure that you are as pleasing to Google as you can be, because then that's going to get you ranked higher in those searches, both in a Google search through SEO and through having a really good Google map with lots of pictures, with lots of reviews from people. And so we really try to drive home that importance and show them how to use that tool
Sure.
to, expand their business.
Yeah.
Because too, it's also not just for, looking for a restaurant in an unfamiliar city. It's, I have a cat and my cat is sick. Where do I take my cat?
Right.
And, in today's day and age, there is definitely a lot of word of mouth recommendations that you ask somebody at church, oh, where do you go get your nails done? Or where do you get your hair done? But there's also a lot of word of mouth that happens digitally right now.
Sure.
Through reviews. Reviews are super important to a small business, because if people don't know you very well, but they can look at a review and they can see a photo of the product and a recommendation that, hey, this jelly is great
Yeah.
on a bagel with some cream cheese, then, oh, that's like hearing from a friend, here is something that I have enjoyed that you might enjoy too.
Sure.
And it just really helps. And especially now that people are online more than ever, it seems it's really important to make sure that those digital presences are, really spotless and
Yeah.
really attention grabbing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people gravitate towards Facebook or Instagram, but the Google My Business page, it's really important. It's, if you, pictures that you post on Facebook, you can post on your Google My Business.
Absolutely.
Reviews are huge, and just, there's a lot of analytics that you can look at there. I think sometimes for small business owners, the amount, when you look at something like SEO, where that is changing all the time, or even like a Facebook algorithm is changing all the time, it can be overwhelming of all the things that you want to keep up on from a marketing standpoint, and you're trying to make whatever product you're trying to make. So having someone that can help you out with that can take that burden off of your shoulders is huge. So I guess with that, talk about more of what the GROW Membership Nebraska looks like, what small business owners can get from that, and kind of what the process looks like. You said before, usually a phone call to kind of, get to know each other a little bit better, and if it's a good match, but just kind of talk about it, the next steps from there.
Absolutely. So, obviously our website is our 24/7 store. So under the Join tab, and we have we usually make sure that they've gone through our member resource page. So all of our members, if they've been, due to COVID, we're very lucky again. I just can't tell you how wonderful statewide board we have. Really gave us an open door of like, Janell, if a business has struggled with COVID, we want to give them a scholarship. And so we do have scholarships for membership.
Okay.
And we recommend that if they're a startup business or if COVID has affected them, and they can apply for a scholarship. It's sort of a step up, Brian. And we don't believe in a free lunch. Generally, it's like half price membership, and then it steps up. All of our members get what we feel is very important is what we call a GROW Nebraska webpage.
Okay.
So this is sort of a basic informational page that you can add video, your logo. You connect all of whatever you're doing for marketing, any social media, your website.
That's awesome.
And then we track that. So at the end of the year, we know how many people have, hit our page or found your page because of us. And that's really, really important.
Yeah.
The other thing is we know it really works because we have 419 plus businesses on there. So we are becoming, something that Google looks at all the time.
Yeah.
Just because we're organically have had a website. The smartest thing I ever did was we had a website in 1998.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of things I would change, but I would never change that one.
Yeah.
So then the other thing we've been blessed with is we have a $10,000 a month Google AdWord grant. So we're trying to right away, we do our onboarding call is, okay, what are some keywords? If no one knew about your business, what they might search. So we're also trying to introduce them to Google Keyword Planner. And if they already are doing Google AdWords, we'll say we'll run campaigns for your competitor campaigns. Buzz's Marina, they have it going on, but she has us run competitor campaigns, which is great.
Wow.
I mean, she's very savvy.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then we can track that. And a lot of our members will get over $200-300 a month of free Google AdWords because our spend. Because it's 6 you can say, well, I have a $10,000 Google AdWord grant, but what's your actual spend? Well, it's about $9,400 a month.
Wow.
So that really makes me happy. So we're going through that, and then we're sharing that information with our members. So at any level, basic or bundle, you actually get access to that. And then we also do what Tiffany talked about was the Google Map training. Mm-hmm. So the other thing we're going to work with is right away, what's your Google Map look like? How can we improve it? You know? And it's interesting enough, we'll have a lot of people call, well, I have a Google Map, but it's showing the picture showing the back of my business. How can I help that? Well, okay, yes, we can. And you brought up earlier, if you put a picture on Facebook, please put it on your Google Map.
Yeah.
Just last month, I think Tiffany and Amanda do kind of tag team that, and I think we have 200 and maybe 63 or over 300 photos on our Google Map. Well, we had almost 40,000 views last month on our Google Map. Now that's ROI, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I always tell people, if you don't believe me, go to Himley-Dorley Zoo. I mean, it's it's our gem for Nebraska, right? And, number one national zoo in Omaha. They have a smoking Google Map. If you have a service, I hope you talk about your podcast on your Google Map. Those are important things. So once they've done the Google Map training and they've got their GROW Nebraska webpage, so we know right away we can work with them. Then we get into the nitty gritty. Okay, do you need help with bookkeeping? Do you have a business plan? So we're either going to kick them to a resource or they're going to work with one of our team specialists and take them to the next level.
Got it.
So, and if they're basic for like a basic member for you, that's where sort of a stop. But then we'd also want to talk to you. Are you an expert in anything? Can we use you for one of Tiffany's webinars? You need to have a booth at our Market Tech because members get a substantially reduced rate. And we always bring in a national speaker. This year, I'm going to let Tiffany talk about it, but I really want to talk about it, but I want her to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, so if they're a product-based member, where they want market access, then we do an analysis. They fill out a form, and we either decide, we're going to put them on Amazon, buynebraska.com, multiple platforms. Are we going to put them here? They don't actually. We have a lot of members that we just do online sales for. We don't have any product in store for them. So it depends what model. Are they drop shippers? Or we also just ship from here. So
sure.
And then we also help members learn about shipping because we're watching shipping every day, but we got caught up misunderstanding about learning to ship, and now it's everybody wants things shipped to them.
Sure.
And it's not, I think they said just last year online sales were up over 40-some%. Well, our online sales were up like 180%. It's huge. but you know, you got to keep working with FedEx, UPS, USPS. You know, I mean, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Tiffany, talk more about what's coming up this year. Janelle touched on it, but
Yeah, so July 15th here at the Eunice Conference Center in Kearney, Nebraska, we're going to be hosting our Marketech Conference. That's on July 15th. It's an all-day conference. We will have our keynote speaker is David McBee, who is an internet marketing expert, started selling Yellow Pages back in the day and grew from there to really become an expert on digital marketing and internet marketing. So really excited for him to speak. His speaking topics will be about the digital pivot that businesses either were forced to make last year or are still trying to make, and so guiding them through that process and then making sure that they are getting ROI from those marketing campaigns online. And that's a really great thing about digital marketing, is that you can really sit down and you can look at exactly how many people saw that ad pop up on that web page, how many people clicked on it, and how many conversions that you got, whether that was actually making a sale, signing up for a newsletter, whatever the purpose of that campaign was. So just kind of guiding people through that. We'll also have a couple speaker panels. And we're really excited about those because those will feature our members who are experts in their own individual areas, and also be able to share some of their success stories in the pandemic. We actually had a lot of businesses come out from that pretty well because they quickly adapted and started doing a few different things, and it really worked for them. And so we really want them to share those stories so that anybody who attends the conference can hear that and get an idea sparked in their head that they can walk away with. Another awesome benefit of that conference is we have an exhibitor booth option that people can buy as a part of their registration, but then all of the people who attend can go around and look at those booths. So that's for people to talk about their business, to show their product off. Some people even have samples. If you like popcorn, it's probably a good place to be. So really exciting part there, and that's a really great physical example of those networking opportunities that we provide. We call it a networking plaza because it's all about an opportunity to meet with somebody else, and that can be somebody from the Panhandle meeting with somebody close to Sioux City. And so, you know, really fostering those connections. But the awesome thing about living in today's digital world is that you can continue those relationships even if you live in two small towns in opposite corners of the state.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
And we're putting it in the one large ballroom, and that's why we went to panels instead of breakouts. So we'll be really trying to do as much social distancing and, you know, just keeping in mind of, you know, the COVID protocols. You know, our board was at first, Janelle, you're going to do it virtual, and, you know, so I was so happy as things have, people are wanting to get out now, and so we're excited that we're able to provide that service for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't have to be a member to attend. You know, it's still a really affordable conference, but it is, for members, it's only $59 for a full day of conference. You know, so
that's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Very cool.
Registration for that is available at marketechconference.com. You can learn more about the conference there. You can see the differences in the different things that you're registering for. And if you decide, I do want an exhibitor table, but I would really love to get that member rate, you can also definitely sign up to be a member and get that rate right away too. You don't have to be a legacy member to get that benefit. So just check it out, and we're always here too if you have any questions.
Got it. I thought of one question that I wanted to ask, should have asked earlier, but we'll come back to all this as well because I want to go over that again. Both of you mentioned COVID. Talk about what the last year has been like, maybe not only for you, but the small business owners that you've worked with. You said that some have been thriving because they've been able to pivot. I've said in the past that I think that's one of the beauties about being a small business owner is you can make changes on the fly if you need to. One of the advantages you have over a big corporation. And so just kind of talk about what that's been like, not only for you, but for the clients that you work with, what the last year with the pandemic has been like for them.
The businesses that we had done, you know, had opportunity to work with and really establish some really awesome online listings did phenomenal. And I wish we could have worked more with a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
Obviously, our big winners were like Grain Place Foods. We sold 50-pound bags of hulled barley and
Wow.
all kinds of things, and flour, and on and on and on. I mean, huge sales for those guys. And a lot of them had their own Amazon listings, but somehow ours. We have a member business that actually runs our Amazon store. That's what he does.
Okay.
Wesley started at Hometown Industries with just him and a part-time guy. Now he's got 8 employees, and so it's exciting how that all. But it created a real frenzy. I mean, we were shipping, and it still continued, but 70, 80 online orders minimally a day.
Yeah.
A lot of them were drop ships, and so we were physically boxing up that much. Those businesses that we had established
The online presence.
did really well.
Yeah.
And even though people are like, well, was it all food? No, those little wind chimes over there, we were selling 80 to 90 of those a month because people were home.
Yeah.
I'm saying? So home decor did okay too. Candles, soap, we sold a lot of soap.
Yeah.
Obviously it's antibacterial. So we worked a lot with businesses and we just had the question just a week ago where someone, I responded. It's one of the things I try to do on the weekend. The team gets off. Is somebody responded, "What's your COVID, protocol now?" Well, we're not requiring masks, but they're recommended. And if if someone wears a mask that comes into our facility, we'll ask them. And if we don't have ours on,
Mm-hmm.
we will put it on for them. Plus, we're disinfecting. And we hired a professional cleaner that comes in every week. Brian, just everybody just needs to take it up a pace.
Sure.
There was a lot of businesses that struggled, that we couldn't help fast enough, but we're getting them there now.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that we had some established positions on, they were huge winners.
Awesome.
Huge. So,
Yeah.
and I think the other thing too, Brian, I think people started realizing, I want to buy stuff that's by real people, and that's one thing, that's one of our taglines is you just benefited a Nebraskan.
Yeah.
And you do. Every purchase benefits a Nebraskan.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, yes, a percentage of the sales goes, but you're still benefiting Nebraska because we have 5 full-time employees here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And helps us keep these services so that we can keep benefiting Nebraska. But majority of all of our, the big chunk goes back to that business.
Which
and
is
keeps
great.
our lights on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tiffany, do you think that did you see an increase in people that were maybe hesitant before about social media or that type of marketing, that you were just crazy busy because people were wanting to know more about it now, or kind of pivot towards that way?
Yeah, so I actually started here in January.
Okay.
So when the pandemic first hit, I wasn't really here to experience that firsthand, but I was working in the news industry.
Okay.
So I was still in touch with everything that was happening
Got it.
and
Okay.
writing about business and the ways that they were dealing with some of these new struggles. And I think more than anything, it did force a lot of people to take a step back and say, all right, I had poured so much resources into the ability to talk with people face to face or to get their bodies physically in my store, and it really forced people to take a step back and say, okay, what can I do differently?
Yeah.
For a lot of people too, some products were really built around having a football party.
Sure.
Or having a birthday party. And so, well, what do you do if you are a bakery that bakes a lot of cakes and now no birthday parties are happening anymore?
Sure.
What do you do differently? And we saw a really cool adaptation with a lot of those people who, instead of making dozens of cupcakes for a party, they would sell take-home kits.
Got it.
So that moms who are home with their kids could have their kids decorate those cupcakes, but then
Sure.
also they didn't have to go through all the work of making them themselves and really dirtying up their
Yeah.
kitchen. We saw a lot of cool adjustments too with businesses deciding to partner with other people or work with them. One cool example is HR Pop and Snacks, which is just over in Gibbon. Her business model is a lot based on bringing fun popcorn to a party, right?
Okay.
So, you get the red popcorn for a Husker game, and that's really fun and exciting. Yep. But what do you do if people aren't gathering for those events anymore? So she was able to work with another one of our members, Mocha's Kitchen, who was able to help her get that product in stores.
Oh.
It's sold here, but, here sometimes people are thinking, I'm going out for that specialty item, whereas if she can be in a grocery store that somebody just happens to pass by and say, I'm going to grab that and I am going to have that as a fun snack with my kids tonight.
Sure.
And so lots of cool cooperations like that happening too. I mean, we are stronger together, and I think that businesses really proved that, and they were willing to help each other out in a time that could have been really divisive, and they could have said, well, it's everybody for themselves because times are really hard right now.
Sure.
But in Nebraska, we saw the opposite. We saw more people helping each other out and giving advice, and I think we're all better because of that.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. All right, ladies, I know you got a busy day, so I could talk to you for another 2 hours, I think, but let everyone know more, where they can learn more about GROW Nebraska, website, phone number, social media. How can people find you? And then I want to talk a little bit more, or talk again about the conference and where people can go for that. So, Janell, if you want to talk about how people can learn more.
Sure, just go to our website, GROW Nebraska.
.org.
Or you can find it .com, NE, NEB, all those different domains will hit it. And then our phone number is 308-338-3520.
Okay.
And then we're on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram,
YouTube.
So
Got it.
Google us. I guarantee we'll come up.
Got it. Very cool. And Tiffany, talk just real quick again about the dates of the conference and where people can go to learn more there.
Yep, the conference is July 15th here in Kearney, Nebraska at the Eunice Conference Center. Registration is open right now. You can register at marketechconference.com. Through that, you can pay and everything right there, and then we will get you signed up right away. You can also learn more about the conference there, and we're hoping to add soon some help too for people who are coming in from out of town, helping them find some place where they can get a hotel and stuff. So we're working on that, and as well as a few other elements of that website. But you can learn more about our speaker, David McBee, on there.
Okay.
Sign up, and then also if you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@grownebraska.org.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I hope for anyone that's listening, I hope you do go and check out more about GROW Nebraska, because this is a resource that, like I said at the beginning, I was pretty naive about, but for a small business owner that's looking to improve their business, to take that next step, to do some of the things that they're uncomfortable with, this is an amazing resource that we have here in Nebraska and that people need to take advantage of. So Janell, Tiffany, thank you so much. It's been great to sit down and talk with you. And check them out to know more.
Thanks so much for having us.